Human beings have evolved into questionable beings, not just afraid of invisible things. For me, art has become a means of overcoming the limitations of perception. Human beings are beings with limitations of perception. Nature and truth do not consider the limitations of perception. The truth is safety and stability, and the free movement of consciousness helps us observe truths more objectively. This is why humans instinctively pursue truth and freedom. Anti-focus is a cry of vigilance against prejudice. The moment human vision and consciousness fall into a single focus and perspective, they become unable to consider much of the information involved. Prejudice rules humans like that. To overcome the limitations of perception and consciousness, I first had to observe the visual and the reality of consciousness and thought more accurately. To overcome something's limitations, we need to know its limitations or boundaries precisely. Innocence leads to practice without fear, and honesty helps us recognize more correct information by preventing consciousness from distorting what I saw and felt. For this reason, truth, freedom, honesty, and innocence have become to be inevitable factors for art. Art is science beyond science. I have developed not only vision but also perception and consciousness through art that transcends the limits of science, trapped in the limitations of tools and logic. My voyage to the unconscious world has a different starting point from surrealism automatics. It was not just to play outside the house because we were frustrated, but to expand the space of the house by bringing outside play into the house. Here, the house is consciousness and the outside is unconsciousness. To overcome the limitations of perception and consciousness, sometimes I started to draw without a name. I painted in darkness indistinguishable in colors, and in order to interrupt conscious judgments, I drew against my will or against the will with my eyes closed or opened. I also first finished the base of this big painting, 248.5 x 333.3 centimeters, without any specific aim, and I kept asking myself questions about how to finish this. And suddenly, a fishing rod came to my mind. As a result, a fishing rod was the best tool to overcome the limits of the range of my body's motion, as well as the limits of conscious control. A fishing rod came from unconscious intuition, but it was an inevitable and perfect tool. I consciously and logically analyze new images in my paintings that I could not consciously express. In this research process, I bring my unconscious world into my conscious world. So my domain of perception and consciousness expands, and I prepare for a voyage to another unconscious world outside my extended consciousness. My works of art and concept may not be new. I have tried to more objectively and more specifically observe the essence of human history, art history, the world, and me. In the process, I could more accurately conceptualize the essence of them. For me, art is not an activity with the purpose of pursuing originality, but just an activity that focuses on the truth of momentary through enjoying more objective and specific observation. The causes of the past make the present. The causes of the past and present determine the future. The prejudice from the information in the past into fear of the future, which cannot be perfectly predicted, prevent us from more objectively recognizing the fact and truth. An existence that exists but is not obsessed with existing. A lens of consciousness that keeps perceiving but is not distorted from the information. All my works are just the process and the result of this moment missing. This moment missing is the new word I made. This means a condition in which bias cannot interfere with recognition and expression. I was able to enjoy a freer moment when I abandoned even my obsession with a name. Finally, for the reason of being free from any obsession, I have been freed from any fear, allowing myself to enjoy more stable moments with more objective observation and judge in the production process of my works of art. Perhaps this is why people feel stability and fearless pleasure.